Get out of here, said my son's bride during the wedding. So I left, but not alone. Get out of here. Don't come back. You're not welcome. I just smiled and said quietly, okay, but I'm not leaving alone. Her smug grin faded when she saw who was coming with me. Her composure cracked completely. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments what time it is where you're watching from. I was sketching drainage patterns for the southeast corner when the doorbell rang. March afternoons in Portland usually meant quiet, the kind of calm retirement promised after 40 years of chasing deadlines. Time to think. Time to plan gardens instead of buildings. The bell rang again, more insistent this time. When I opened the door, my son Rufus stood there, grinning like he just won the lottery. Beside him was a woman I'd never seen before, elegant, confident, her hand resting on his arm like it belonged there. Dad, we're engaged, Rufus blurted before I could even invite them in. I wanted you to meet her right away. Right away. That part stood out. No phone call, no slow introduction, just this sudden reveal, like he was showing off a new car. Come in, I said, stepping aside. This is unexpected. I know, Rufus said, practically buzzing with excitement. But when you know, right? The woman extended her hand. Celeste Morgan. I've heard so much about you, Mr. Boyd. Rufus says you designed half of Portland's iconic buildings. Her handshake was firm, her manicure expensive, French tips freshly done. Iconic is generous, I replied with a polite smile. Functional is more accurate. And please call me Delbert. As she smiled back, her eyes moved around my entryway like a real estate appraiser, studying the crown molding, the walnut banister, mentally measuring dimensions. This craftsmanship is extraordinary, she said. You just don't see this kind of quality anymore. Built in 1923, I told her, watching as she absorbed every detail. We moved to the living room, and I offered them coffee. From the kitchen, I overheard her voice, smooth, professional, and practiced, asking Rufus about property values, neighborhood trends, and square footage. The kind of tone I'd heard from people who measured worth before appreciating beauty. When I returned with the coffee, I asked casually, so, how did you two meet? Rufus launched into the story like a movie trailer. A networking event, shared interests, love at first sight. Celeste added details with precision. I consult for a luxury real estate firm, she said. Mostly high-net-worth clients, property portfolios, estate transitions. She said high net worth 3 times in less than 5 minutes. When I met Rufus, his passion for ethical development impressed me, she continued. So many people in our field just chase profit. I nodded politely. And your family? Where are they from? Seattle originally, she said smoothly. But we weren't close. I prefer to look forward rather than back. Then, with that same polished tone, she added, Rufus has told me such wonderful things about you. Retired architect, widower, beautiful home. Clearly, he got his talent from you. The compliment felt rehearsed. I smiled faintly and sipped my coffee. Then Rufus pulled a folder from his bag. Celeste suggested something smart, a prenuptial agreement, for transparency and mutual protection. He handed me the papers like they were proof of her integrity. I put on my reading glasses, scanning the thick stack of legal jargon. This is thorough, I said. My attorney drafted it, Celeste replied. I believe in protecting both parties. Marriage is a partnership, but good partnerships have clear terms. Don't you agree, Delbert? Clause 7 caught my eye. All family assets acquired during the marriage are subject to equal division. Family assets, not marital assets. Clause 12 was worse. Inheritance received during marriage becomes marital property after 1 year. I looked up. Has Rufus had independent legal review? Dad, it's fair, Rufus said quickly. Celeste wouldn't. I'm sure, I interrupted gently. But it's just standard practice, son. Every major contract deserves 2 perspectives. He looked hurt. Celeste placed her hand on his arm. A subtle move, but one that shifted his attention immediately. Would you like to see the rest of the house? She asked, smiling sweetly. I'm fascinated by this period's architecture. As we toured, she took photos, supposedly for design inspiration. But I noticed her angles. They weren't of the decor. They were of the property. In the master bedroom, She stood by the window overlooking the garden. Such a large house for one person, she said softly. Have you considered what happens to it eventually? Her question landed like a test. Eventually is a long way off, I replied. Of course, she smiled. I just meant that estate planning is important. Rufus mentioned you haven't updated your will recently. Did he now? My voice cooled. That's a private matter, between father and son. She backtracked smoothly. I only meant open discussions prevent misunderstandings later. I prefer preventing misunderstandings now, I said quietly. Back downstairs, Rufus checked his watch. We should go. Reservation at 6. At the door, Celeste hugged me. Warm, deliberate too long. I'll take good care of him, she whispered. And I'm so glad we'll be family. The way she said family felt possessive. After they left, I stood by the door, the prenuptial papers heavy in my hand. My mind replayed the details, her diamond bracelet, the designer handbag, her grasp of inheritance law. The way she'd mentioned my will before even asking about my hobbies. I walked to my study, spread the contract across the desk, and began marking it up. Circled Clause 12. Underlined Clause 7. In the margin, I wrote one word. Why? The following weeks dragged by. Rufus called often, always about wedding plans, venues, color schemes, guests. I played the part of the supportive father, while the contract sat hidden in my desk. I'd read it 17 times. Each read revealed something new. A clause, a loophole, a quiet trap. But instinct wasn't evidence. Not yet. Then one warm afternoon in April, my old colleague Robertson called. Lunch downtown, he asked. Need advice on transitioning into retirement. We met at Cascade Room, a renovated warehouse turned upscale restaurant in the Pearl District. I arrived early, as always, and took a seat near the window. As I skimmed the menu, I noticed movement across the room. Celeste. She was sitting at a corner table, half hidden by a column. A man in a tailored suit sat opposite her, confident, dark-haired, early 40s. Their body language said everything. Her hand rested over his. His thumb brushed her wrist with the kind of ease that comes only from familiarity. My first instinct was to confront her right there. But 40 years of discipline stopped me. Confront her with what? Lunch? She'd have an excuse ready. I needed proof, not emotion. I quietly asked the waiter to move me to a table with better lighting and a clearer view. From there, I pretended to check my phone and started recording discreetly. For 20 minutes, I observed. Her laughter was genuine, unguarded, not the polite tone she used with me. They shared dessert with a single fork. When the bill came, he paid without hesitation. An expensive bottle of wine, multiple courses. This wasn't a business meeting. This was routine. As they stood to leave, she kissed his cheek and lingered, her lips close to his ear. He whispered something that made her laugh again. Then they left separately, careful, practiced. That told me everything I needed to know, that I photographed the scene carefully, making sure the license plate was clear. Robert Chun arrived 20 minutes late, apologizing about traffic, but I barely heard him. My mind was elsewhere, turning over possibilities, strategies, implications. As soon as lunch ended, I drove straight to the office of Philip Tawes, a journalist I'd known for 20 years through Chamber of Commerce circles. Philip, I need a favor, I said as I stepped in. A discreet one. He looked up from his computer, eyebrows raised. Discreet usually means trouble. Just information, I replied. License plate to name. He studied my face. Legal trouble? Family trouble, I said quietly. I just need to know who someone really is before making decisions. Philip leaned back, smirking. Remember when I almost bought that house on Thurman, and you found those foundation cracks? Saved me 50 grand. I remember. Then we're even. He took the note with the license plate number. 30 minutes and 2 phone calls later, he had the answer. Daniel Kraus, real estate agent at Premier Properties Northwest. Specializes in luxury estates, $2 million and up. I searched Daniel's name right there in Philip's office. His professional profile popped up, complete with photo. It was him, the man from the restaurant. Match confirmed. That evening, I started looking into private investigators in Portland. I needed someone who could dig quietly, someone good with financial and infidelity cases. Marcus Webb fit the bill. His office downtown was small, almost invisible, exactly what I needed. Webb himself was plain, mid-40s, average build, the kind of man no one notices twice. Perfect. I explained everything calmly. My son's fiancée, suspicious prenup, lunch with another man. I need her background, financial and personal. He quoted his rate flatly. $150 an hour plus expenses. Whatever it takes, I said. I want a full report. He paused, studying me. If I find what you're afraid I'll find, what will you do? I met his eyes. Protect my son. He nodded, took my retainer check, and promised results in 2 weeks. Those 2 weeks felt like 2 months. I played my role. Weekly dinners with Rufus, polite small talk, pretending nothing was wrong. Celeste joined twice, warm and charming as ever, perfectly performing the role of the loving fiancé. If I hadn't seen her with Daniel, I might have believed her. Then, on May 2nd, Webb called. Report's ready. You'll want privacy when you read it. At his office, he handed me a thick folder, at least 60 pages. Took some digging, he said, but the pattern's clear. She's done this before. Twice. I opened the folder and started reading. Marriage certificate, 2019. Celeste Morgan to James Whitfield, Portland businessman. Divorce, 2021. Settlement, $180,000 plus a vehicle. Marriage certificate, 2022. Celeste Morgan to Richard Brennan, Seattle entrepreneur. Divorce, 2023. Settlement, $225,000 plus property transfer. Photos showed Celeste meeting Daniel Kraus 6 times over the last 2 weeks. Hotels, restaurants, long dinners. Webb's handwritten note at the bottom read, "She's getting better at this." I closed the folder slowly. My son wasn't in love. He was being groomed, set up as her next financial target. Webb asked quietly, "Recommendation? Show him this today." "Not yet," I said. "If I go at this wrong, she'll twist it. She's good at manipulation. I need strategy, timing. Don't wait too long," he warned. "The wedding's in 4 months." I nodded. "I won't let it happen. Trust me." The folder felt weightless in my hands, yet heavier than anything I'd ever carried. Driving home through downtown Portland, traffic blurred past. My body was on autopilot, my mind spinning around one question. How do I stop this without losing my son in the process? At home, I spread Webb's report across the dining table. Marriage certificates, divorce decrees, surveillance photos, financial records. Each document another nail in her coffin. But nails need precision, not force. If I moved too early, she'd convince Rufus I was jealous, controlling, afraid to let him go. If I waited too long, it might be too late. I needed a plan, a professional one. The next morning, I researched family law attorneys and found Patricia Reynolds, 23 years of experience, specializing in prenup fraud and asset protection. Her office was in a renovated Victorian house in Nob Hill, discreet but respectable. I called at 9 a.m., and she offered me a consultation at 11. Reynolds was sharp-featured, mid-50s, with eyes that wasted no time. I laid out everything. Webb's report, the prenup, the photos. She studied the file with quiet intensity, jotting careful notes. After 20 minutes, she looked up. Oregon's Uniform Premarital Agreement Act allows a prenup to be voided if it was signed under fraud, duress, or failure to disclose, she explained. Your challenge is proving intent, that she planned the deception before signing. She outlined what I'd need, evidence of a pattern, prior victims, financial motives, and concealment. The previous marriages helped. Her ongoing affair strengthened it. But we need testimony. Those ex-husbands, she said, if they'll talk, it could prove her intent. She quoted her retainer, $5,000. I wrote the check immediately. From now on, document everything, she advised. Record conversations if Oregon law allows it. It's one-party consent if you're part of the discussion. Get your son's permission, casually. Don't tell him why. I left her office with a clear legal roadmap. That afternoon, I returned to Webb's office. I need you to find her ex-husbands, I told him. Both of them. See if they'll talk or testify. He pulled up his notes. Kevin Morgan, lives in Seattle, tech consultant. Divorced her 3 years ago. Second husband, James Pritchard, moved to San Francisco, possibly change his name. Harder to track. Whatever it costs, I said. These men are the key. My attorney says their testimony could destroy her prenup. Webb nodded. Fair warning. Some people don't want to reopen old wounds. Then I'll convince them, I said coldly. They deserve to know she's doing it again. That evening, Rufus called. Celeste wants to do brunch with you this weekend. She wants to bond more before the wedding. Perfect. Son, I said warmly, this is an important time in your life. Would you mind if I recorded some of our talks? For a family history project, memories, advice, stories. Something you and Celeste can look back on someday. Rufus smiled through the phone. That's really thoughtful, Dad. Celeste will love that. The next day, I bought a discreet voice recorder, professional grade, voice-activated, 8-hour capacity. Perfect clarity. I tested it. Then I created an encrypted folder on my computer labeled Family Archive 2025. I wasn't breaking any laws. I was building evidence. Saturday came. I started recording before Rufus and Celeste arrived. She walked in like she owned the air around her. A kiss on my cheek, a box of pastries, a polished compliment about my garden. Over coffee, she shifted the conversation. Delbert, Rufus mentioned you haven't updated your will since your wife passed. That's been, 8 years? Estate laws change. You should really review it. I smiled, pretending mild confusion. You're probably right. I've never been great with that kind of paperwork. She leaned forward eagerly. I work with attorneys all the time. I'd be happy to recommend someone. It's just about planning, understanding assets, structure, succession plans. Family planning? I repeated softly. Exactly, she said, her smile too controlled. After Rufus and I marry, combined finances, shared investments, modern family structures. Rufus nodded, oblivious. Makes sense, Dad. Celeste knows her stuff. I kept up the act, the kind, aging father pretending not to see the chessboard. You're so thoughtful, I said. I'll think about it. When they left, I uploaded the audio immediately and flagged key phrases. Combined finances, succession plans, family assets. She wasn't planning a marriage. She was planning an acquisition. Over the next 2 weeks, her calls increased. Always polite, always circling back to money. Have you ever considered downsizing? Maybe Rufus and I could buy the house at a fair price. Do you have life insurance? Is Rufus the beneficiary? Each question was a move on the board, and I recorded everyone. Web surveillance confirmed what I already knew. Daniel Kraus was pressuring her. The affair was straining under the weight of her long con. She was making mistakes, getting sloppy. Perfect. I turned the spare room into a command center. Corkboard, index cards, strings connecting names, dates, properties, motives. At the center, Celeste Morgan, surrounded by her history of destruction. Each day, I updated the board. Each night, I stared at it and let the anger grow colder, sharper. She wasn't planning a wedding. She was calculating a takeover. Not while I was alive. 3 weeks later, Webb called. Found Kevin Morgan, he said. Seattle. Tech consultant. Divorced her 3 years ago. When I mentioned she's engaged again, he went silent. Then he asked, does the new victim have children? I said yes, Webb continued. He told me, tell the father I'll talk to him. Not to an investigator, to him. The next morning, I was on the road to Seattle. The folder sat beside me on the passenger seat. Webb's report, photos, timelines, evidence. My proof. The cafe Kevin chose was a quiet spot in Capitol Hill. I arrived 30 minutes early, picking a table with a clear view of the door. He entered right on time. Average height, business casual, cautious eyes. I recognized him from Webb's photo and stood to greet him. Mr. Morgan, I'm Delbert Boyd. Thank you for meeting me. He shook my hand, wary. Your investigator said she's engaged to your son. How old is he? 37. Kevin winced. Perfect age. Old enough to have assets, young enough to rebuild. I was 39 when I met her. We sat. I ordered coffee for both of us. I didn't rush. How are you now? I asked quietly. 3 years later? He exhaled. Better. Rebuilt my consulting business. But she nearly ruined me. Financially, emotionally. She positioned herself as my business partner on paper, never worked a day in her life. Took me 2 years to recover. His honesty cut through the noise. I'm trying, I said softly, to make sure my son doesn't live your story. That's why I was here, not just to gather legal ammunition, but to understand what I was really fighting. Kevin nodded slowly. You're not fighting an amateur, he said. She's a professional. Celeste isn't a casual con artist. She's studied this, perfected it, made it her career. For the next hour, Kevin unfolded the story of his own destruction. He had met Celeste at a networking event. She'd placed herself strategically among successful professionals, already knowing who he was, what he did, and how to make him feel seen. She asked sharp questions about his company, intelligent, curious, never shallow, never obvious. She made it feel real, Kevin said, like she cared about my work, not my bank account. I believed her. The courtship was intense. She mirrored his interests flawlessly, introduced him to high-end restaurants, remembered every detail he shared. For months later, she suggested engagement. When you know, she told him. Kevin smiled bitterly. I thought her certainty meant honesty. I was wrong. Then came the prenuptial agreement, presented as protection for them both. She said she'd been hurt before, wanted legal clarity, equality. It looked fair on the surface, but hidden in the legal phrasing was a trap. Family assets acquired during marriage included inheritances. 8 months after the wedding, Kevin's father passed away, leaving him $150,000 and a collection of vintage cars. Under the terms of that contract, every cent and every car became marital property. The marriage lasted only 18 months. After the wedding, she changed distant, cold, and critical. Eventually, she began an affair with a real estate investor. When Kevin confronted her, she filed for divorce the next day. Her attorney was brutal. His wasn't ready. The settlement cost him everything: $180,000, the car collection, and 30% of his company. Kevin's voice stayed calm as he told the story, but I noticed a tremor in his hands. She timed it perfectly, he said. Waited until the inheritance cleared. Every move was calculated. I opened my own folder, sliding it toward him. This is what we've gathered so far, I said. He studied the documents, surveillance photos, transcripts, reports, all connecting Celeste's manipulations across multiple relationships. Recognition dawned in his eyes. It's the same pattern, he whispered. Even her wording, family resource consolidation. She said that to me, too. He stopped at a photograph. Celeste and another man, Daniel Kraus. Different face, he said quietly, but the same dynamic. She always has a backup. Someone waiting in the wings when her current mark collapses. I asked him directly, would you be willing to give a written statement? Maybe even testify, to help void the prenup she used against my son? Kevin didn't hesitate. Yes, I should have done this years ago. Guilt's been eating at me ever since she married again. I could have warned him. I placed a hand on his arm. You're warning me now. That's what matters. Together, we drafted his statement. A full account, timelines, tactics, financial outcomes, everything. He signed it and slid the laptop toward me. Call me anytime, he said. She can't be allowed to keep doing this. As we wrapped up, Kevin gave one final warning. Your son won't believe you, he said softly. Not at first. She's too good. She builds a reality around you until her lies feel like truth. Every suspicion, she already has an explanation ready. The other man's just a colleague. The ex-husband's? Amicable separations. Your concerns? Just a father's paranoia. I nodded slowly. It's already happening, I admitted. He's been distant lately, canceling our dinners, making excuses. She's isolating him. Kevin's expression turned grim. That's textbook. Step 1. Separate the target from anyone who might see through her, especially family. He leaned forward. When you confront her, do it once, and do it completely. Don't reveal anything piece by piece. Every fragment you show her, she'll twist into something harmless. Wait until you can show your son everything, the full picture, all at once. I absorb his words carefully. A single, devastating confrontation, I said. Exactly, he replied. Overwhelming proof. No way to spin it. When we finished, Kevin stood and shook my hand firmly. Save your son, he said. I wish someone had saved me. Driving back to Portland, I felt a shift, a new weight but also direction. Kevin Morgan's testimony turned my research into something tangible. The pattern was no longer theory. It had a human face now. As I crossed back into Oregon, my phone buzzed. A text from Rufus. Dad, sorry to cancel Sunday dinner again. Wedding planning is crazy. Celeste says we need to finalize the venue this weekend. Rain check. It was the third cancellation in 4 weeks. Each excuse reasonable. Each one a small step further away. Kevin had warned me. Isolation by increments. I replied simply, of course, son. Let me know when you're free. But as I drove home through the fading light, I calculated the time left. 10 weeks until the wedding. 10 weeks before Celeste locked my son into a legal trap. The question wasn't if I could stop her. It was whether I could do it in time. That night, I added Kevin Morgan's signed statement to the evidence board, connecting it with red string to every other piece of her deception. The web was complete now. The picture undeniable. She wasn't just a manipulator. She was a machine, precise, deliberate, and deadly in her pattern. But now, I finally understood how to dismantle it. Reynolds reviewed the evidence packets in silence. When she finally looked up, her verdict was simple, devastating. Then came the strategy. A wedding day revelation is high risk, she said. Rufus will be emotional, vulnerable, and Celeste will move fast to control the narrative. You'll need to strike once, clean and complete. No gaps for her to twist the truth. What's your recommendation? I asked. Pull him aside privately after the ceremony. Find a quiet moment alone. Present everything. And make sure he can't filter your words through her. She paused, her tone sharpening. What's your extraction plan? Extraction? After the revelation, he'll need space. She'll try to isolate him immediately, spin the evidence. You'll need somewhere safe, your house, a hotel, anywhere she can't reach. Have bag packed, clothes, toiletries. Show him you're ready to help him through the aftermath. I nodded slowly. My house. I'll insist he comes home with me. Good, Reynolds said, satisfied. He'll need proof of your support when his world collapses. August 10th, Webb delivered the final investigation files. The last photos showed Celeste and Daniel at a waterfront restaurant just 3 days earlier. 2 hours together. Their body language said everything. She was anxious, he was reassuring. Webb's voice was calm but firm. They're finalizing post-wedding plans. She's under pressure. The timeline's closing in. He'd also pulled Daniel's recent financials, hotel bills, dinners, jewelry. He's paying for everything, Webb said. She won't with the gifts around Rufus. He's invested emotionally and financially. I studied the documents, feeling the bitter truth settle. Then Daniel's a victim too, I said quietly. Webb shook his head. A willing one. He knows exactly what she's doing to your son. He extended his hand. Good luck, Boyd. Stopping a predator before she completes the cycle. That's rare. August 12th evening. 4 days before the wedding. I was reviewing the files when the phone rang. Rufus's voice came through, warm, unaware. Ceremonies at 3 p.m., Brookside Country Club. I just wanted to make sure you're really coming. I'll be there, son. Okay. Thanks, Dad. After he hung up, I sat in silence. That night, I wrote him a letter, an explanation in case everything went catastrophically wrong. My motives, the evidence, and an apology for the method, but not for the intention. I sealed it, placed it in my safe deposit box with instructions from my attorney. August 15th, the night before the wedding. I prepared methodically, my suit pressed, evidence folder ready, recorder tested. I ate lightly, reviewed every note. The command center I'd built over months, photos, strings, maps. I dismantled piece by piece until the room looked ordinary again. But inside, I wasn't ordinary anymore. The evidence was gone, but the purpose remained. Sleep never came. I lay awake, mind running through every scenario. Best case, Rufus sees the truth and walks away. Worst case, he chooses her, and I lose him forever. Somewhere before dawn, I drifted into a dream of collapsing buildings and broken foundations. I woke with the sunrise. The wedding day had arrived. Portland skies were gray and heavy that morning. the kind that promise rain but never deliver. I dressed slowly. Charcoal suit, white shirt, simple tie. The evidence folder slipped inside my jacket, barely noticeable, but its weight felt monumental. I arrived at Brookside Country Club 90 minutes early. The place overlooked Willamette Valley. Manicured lawns, old money, quiet power. Inside, the chaos of preparation. Florists, photographers, planners, all rehearsing perfection. I took a back row seat, aisle side. From there, I could see everything. Celeste's side filled fast, polished strangers in designer clothes. Rufus's side, sparse, isolated, the proof of how effectively she'd cut him off from the world. Then the music began. Celeste appeared, radiant, confident, a perfect illusion in a $15,000 gown. I touched my pocket, activating the recorder. I promised to love, honor, cherish. Each word was a lie dressed in silk and lace. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, the applause felt hollow. My son had just signed his own imprisonment, and I had maybe 30 minutes to set him free. At the reception, champagne flowed and laughter filled the ballroom. I stayed on the edges, watchful. Celeste never left Rufus's side, guiding every conversation, intercepting anyone who approached him alone. Classic control behavior. I mapped the venue mentally. Ballroom, hallway, side library. Perfect for a private conversation. Quiet. Secluded. Dinner began. My seat, table 8, far from the newlyweds. Her doing, no doubt. From across the room, I watched her, glowing, triumphant, untouchable. Then dessert ended. The DJ announced the toasts. Bride's parents first, followed by the father of the groom. Before the speeches began, Celeste approached my table. She leaned close, her voice low and sweet. Venom and honey. Delbert, thank you. You raised a wonderful son. Your job is done now. I stayed silent. Rufus and I need space to build our marriage. You should probably leave soon. The ceremony was enough. Rufus asked me to stay for the toasts. I said evenly. Rufus asks for many things when he's emotional. I'm telling you what's best for him. Then her mask cracked, just slightly. You don't belong here. You don't fit in with our world. Go home, Delbert. Don't come back. I looked at her calmly. All right, Celeste. But I'm taking someone with me when I leave. Her eyes narrowed. Taking someone? You'll see, I said softly. Enjoy your reception. What's left of it. I walked to the DJ booth as the bride's parents finished their speech. The DJ handed me the microphone. You next, sir. Father of the groom. I stepped forward. 200 faces turned toward me. Thank you all for being here, I began. I'm Delbert Boyd, Rufus's father. A polite murmur rippled through the crowd. I paused. Traditionally, this is where I'd offer a toast. But today, I'm not giving one. A hush fell. What I have to say is more important than tradition. I looked directly at my son. Rufus, I need to speak with you. Privately. Right now. The crowd shifted, uneasy. Rufus half rose. Dad, what are you? Please, son. 10 minutes. What I have to show you will change everything. Celeste stood quickly. This can wait. Let's not ruin. No, my voice cut through the noise. It can't wait. Rufus hesitated, torn between her grip and my urgency. Finally, he stepped away. 10 minutes, Dad. Then you explain why you did this. He followed me down the hall. Celeste called after him, her voice sharp, desperate. Rufus, don't let him manipulate you. Her words faded as I closed the library door behind us. Silence. Rufus stood by the bookshelf, tense, defensive. All right, 10 minutes. Show me whatever's so important. I placed the evidence folder on the table. Months of work, heartbreak, and truth, all compressed into 2 inches of paper. Before I open this, understand, everything here is real. Verified. Nothing fabricated. You sound like a lawyer, he muttered. Just show me. I opened the folder. This is testimony from Kevin Morgan, I said. Who? Celeste's first husband. He froze. She told me she was never married. Read it. He scanned the pages. Engagement after 4 months. Financial manipulation. Divorce settlement. $180,000 and a stake in his business. His color faded as he read. This could be fake, he whispered. It's notarized. He's willing to testify. Call him yourself. He didn't move. There's another one, I continued. James Pritchard. Same pattern. Same ending. You're the third. No, she wouldn't. She would. And she did. I slid another set of photos across the table. Celeste and Daniel. Restaurants, hotels, parks. Months of deception captured frame by frame. Who is that? Daniel Kraus. She's been seeing him for 8 months. Longer than she's known you. He stared at a photo of them kissing outside a hotel. His hand shook. You hired someone to follow her. I had to after I saw them together. Would you have believed me without proof? Maybe it ended before. It didn't. I pointed at a timestamp. That was 3 days ago. Next came the financials, her pattern of timing, the prenups, the payouts. Stop, Rufus said weakly. This is too much. I pressed on. There's more. I opened my laptop, played the recordings. Celeste's voice filled the room, sweet, manipulative, prying into wills and inheritance. Then the final clip. Her voice again, sharper now, confident, cruel. 8 more weeks of this charade, she laughed. And the father? He's a problem. Daniel's voice followed, low. Handled. The son won't believe him. Not anymore. The room went still. Rufus stared at the screen, eyes wide, face pale. His world had just cracked open. And for the first time, Celeste's mask was gone. Give it 18 months, she said. Daniel laughed. 18 months, pretending to be the devoted wife. Celeste's voice was smooth, practiced. I've done longer. This one's easier. He actually believes I love him. Their laughter filled the room. Then the recording stopped. Silence fell like a heavy curtain across the library. Rufus sat frozen, color drained from his face, breath shallow. For a long moment, he didn't move. Finally, his voice broke the silence. That's her voice. It wasn't a question. Yes, I said quietly. She called our marriage a charade. Said I was malleable. That I believe she loves me. His voice cracked on the last word. I'm sorry, son. He stood abruptly and walked to the window, staring out over the manicured grounds where, just hours ago, he'd married the woman whose voice still echoed through the speakers. He actually believes I love him. I spoke gently. The prenuptial contract. It's structured to maximize her financial access. If you stay married 12 months, she's entitled to 40% of any assets acquired during the marriage. It's a legal trap disguised as protection. Rufus turned from the window. The shock on his face hardened into something colder. She planned this, he said quietly. She researched me, targeted me, acted like she cared, all for money. Yes. He looked toward the door. Beyond it, 200 guests waited, celebrating a lie. What do I do now? The first decision's simple, I said. Do you continue this reception built on deception, or do you end it now? Rufus's jaw tightened. I end it, he said, then louder, steadier, I end it now. He strode out, and I followed, the folder still in my hand. When we entered the reception hall, the music died instantly. The crowd turned. Celeste stood from the head table, relief flashing across her face until she saw his. Rufus walked straight to her. The wedding is canceled, he said, his voice carrying to every corner. A wave of shocked whispers spread across the room. Celeste went pale. Everyone can leave, he continued. The reception is over. This marriage was a mistake. Please go. He turned to leave. Celeste's voice rose behind us. Rufus, what lies did he tell you? What's he saying? Rufus stopped. The truth, he said without turning. About Daniel. About your previous marriages. About your plans for this one. He's lying, she shouted. He fabricated everything. He turned then, eyes cold. I heard your voice on that recording, Celeste. 18 months. A charade. You laughed about how I actually believed you loved me. Her face drained completely. That was taken out of context. What context? Rufus interrupted. Makes 18 months of fraud acceptable. She had no answer. Stop, Celeste. Just stop. He looked around at the guests. Please leave. This is over. Celeste's composure shattered. You destroyed my wedding, she screamed at me. I'll sue you for harassment, defamation, invasion of privacy. Everything was obtained legally, I said calmly. One-party consent recordings, verified surveillance, voluntary testimony. Your attorney will confirm it's admissible. You'll regret this, she spat. I'll take everything in court. You'll get nothing, Rufus said coldly. The prenup is void. My attorneys have already prepared annulment papers. He turned and walked away. I followed. Behind us, the hall erupted into chaos. Guests murmuring, Celeste screaming, the perfect wedding collapsing in seconds. We stepped into the evening air. Father and son, both quiet, both broken in different ways. The drive home was silent. Rufus sat in his wedding suit, his boutonniere torn off and discarded. His hands trembled as the reality settled in. At my house, he went straight to his old bedroom and stayed there for hours. I didn't intrude. Some grief needs silence. When he finally came out, his eyes were red, but his voice was steady. Tell me what happens next legally. That night, we called Patricia Reynolds, the best attorney I know. She arrived within the hour, spread the evidence across my dining table, and laid out our strategy. Rufus listened quietly, like a man absorbing a terminal diagnosis. 5 days later, Celeste sued. Breach of contract, emotional damages, $1 million. Reynolds only smiled. Perfect. She stepped onto the field where we're strongest. A week later, in Reynolds' office, the three of us sat surrounded by files and legal documents. She's claiming you breached the prenup by refusing to honor the marriage, Reynolds said. Classic intimidation tactic. She's bluffing, but it'll get ugly. Can she win? Rufus asked. No. The contract was obtained through fraud. But to prove it, we'll have to go public. Recordings, surveillance, testimony. Everything. She paused. They'll try to humiliate you. Paint you as a bitter man who changed his mind. Let them, I said. We have her voice. Her words. Her laughter. 2 weeks later, the hearing began. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, quiet, almost intimate. Celeste sat with her attorneys, poised and confident, as if performance could erase guilt. Judge Chun presided, sharp, skeptical. Reynolds presented our case first. Your Honor, this isn't a simple contract dispute. It's systematic fraud. Ms. Morgan has a pattern of targeting wealthy men, marrying quickly, manipulating legal protections, and profiting from divorce. She called the first witness, Kevin Morgan, Celeste's ex-husband. He spoke clearly, describing her tactics, the same cycle of deception and financial extraction. Celeste's attorney objected repeatedly, but the judge allowed it. Pattern evidence, she said. Then came the recording. Celeste's voice echoed through the courtroom. 18 months of charade. He actually believes I love him. When the laughter played, even the judge's expression hardened. Celeste leaned toward her attorney, whispering furiously. The financial expert followed, detailing her prior settlements. Over $400,000 in total. A perfect pattern of predation. By the time Reynolds finished, the courtroom was silent. Judge Chun delivered her verdict calmly. The prenuptial agreement was procured through fraud. It is void. The plaintiff's claims are dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, this matter is referred to the district attorney for investigation into possible criminal fraud. The gavel struck. Celeste's confidence vanished. Outside, sunlight felt unreal after the tension inside. Rufus stood beside me, dazed. It's over. The civil case, yes, I said. The criminal part begins now. But you're free. He nodded, slow and distant. I still can't believe I didn't see it. She was a professional, I said. That's the point, to make you blind. Weeks passed. Rufus stayed in my house, silent at first, then slowly rebuilding. One evening he came to me. Dad, I owe you an apology. For doubting you. For trusting her more than you. You trusted someone you loved, I told him. That's not weakness. It's human. What matters is, you listen when it counted. How we fix this, he asked. The same way you fix a damaged structure, I said. Inspect the foundation. Repair the cracks. Rebuild carefully. We began having Sunday dinners again. Quietly, we rebuilt. A month later, he told me he'd started therapy, a counselor specializing in manipulation recovery. She's helping me understand the tactics I missed, he said. Awareness prevents repetition, I replied. By early September, Reynolds called again. Celeste had accepted a plea deal, 3 years probation, restitution, and a criminal record. Her career was finished. You stopped a serial predator, Reynolds said. That evening, Rufus and I stood on my terrace watching the sunset over Portland. I've been thinking about trust, he said. I used to give it blindly. Now I can't trust anyone. Neither extreme is healthy. I said. Trust, but verify. Always verify. He nodded. Like an architect inspecting blueprints. Words are the design. Actions are the calculations. I smiled. You're an architect's son, after all. He smiled back, the first real smile in months. I'm lucky, he said. Some people don't have a father who builds cases to save them. Some do, I said. They just have to recognize protection when it's offered. We stood in silence as the sky faded to gold and violet. Justice served. Relationship rebuilt. The architect's work complete. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.